Welcome to my May energy update. Now, this is the first day I've actually sprung into action to do a video, and I have been very quiet, and there's good reason for that, right? Because I have been going through such a powerful process, as we all have. Many of you have been walking through your grief process, and we've been going through a lot of death, a lot of grieving, and that is not something you can speed up, right? And nor are you supposed to, right? I've spoken many times in different videos about, like the importance of just allowing that. And also Hecate, Sekhmet, they all say the same thing, especially Hecate. Hecate says when you arrive at that deepest level of grief and darkness, you have finally arrived to meet her. And she's the goddess of witchcraft and the crossroads and opening portals and, torchbearer showing you the way and all this kind of stuff, and being protected while you're transitioning, right? So this is where we've been, okay? But there's lots I want to share in this video because, my goodness, I've been sat in my void space just waiting for directive. I will never, ever, ever post videos when just cause. I can't. That's my purgatory, actually. I sit day to day going, I should post a video, but I've got nothing to say. So I'm not going to cloud up your space with just garbage. I'm going to basically make sure that when I bring something onto the YouTube channel, it's relevant, So when I go quiet, that's why. But the reason I'm sharing this is as part of the medicine, because we're on all the time, listening to videos or watching videos all the time, listening to self-help books all the time. But we're going there with good intention, but it's not. It's actually drowning out your own inner voice. It's drowning out the inner being's directive. And where we are right now, if you've walked that grief process, this is a fine line. If you do not listen, if you do not agree to actually let go of everything and start to acknowledge your ancient one, your inner being, and you don't allow the silence so you can hear what is going on inside of you. Like Yeshua says, the kingdom of heaven is within you. If you don't allow that, you're going to be stuck in your grief process and you're just going to loop. It's going to be like Groundhog Day, and you're going to be wondering why you're not coming out of it. That is why, because the golden nugget, the golden key to move from that space when the time is right is to know that beyond that grief is the true awakening and the rising of you, right? Which is why this timeline is so powerful. And I put it at May, June, that everything that you did last year and prior, the inner transformation, you're now going to create your external reality from that place. So guess what? Everything is going to die. Guess what? Relationships are going to end. Jobs are going to end. Guess what? You're going to move. Kids are going to leave home. Animals are going to die. And it's just like so much has died in my life. And I sat here feeling so stripped and bare and just empty. And that was a trauma in itself. And I was like, what is my purpose? I came back and I was like, I don't have a purpose. Now this is like something, because Marie's work, my whole reason for getting on these videos for 10 years I've been doing this, like the YouTube, that is, you know what I mean? It's like, I've always spoken about purpose. And then all of a sudden I sat here and I said to Sekhmet, I don't have a purpose. My kids have gone. And everything else is gone. My animals have passed on. It's really rocked my world. I don't know what I'm here for anymore. And I wanted to die. I wanted to leave the planet. And Sekhmet said to me, no, it's the old life that's dying. It's your ego that's going through a death. And just allow everything to just be a bit chaotic. Just allow yourself to be a bit scared because you don't know what's coming next. Just allow it and be accepting of the darkness and celebrate it as much as you do when the magic moments come along and it's light, because that's what being a true master is. So when they speak about you walking between two worlds, they speak about it all the time. If you have two staffs and that means, especially in Toth's world, he speaks about that a lot, that when you have two staffs, you've mastered the two worlds. What are the two worlds? Living and the underworld, right? You know what I mean? So that's basically what that means. And we are now walking between two worlds, and we're really getting good at it. Because if you're a spiritual being and you're tapped into spirit, well, that's the underworld and everything that is like, the ethers and everything like that. And then if you're basically living here in physical form, you have to nail that as well. And we haven't wanted to come into land. And that's another thing that's coming together, which is really going to be challenging you as you move into this new life. You're going to find yourself dealing with things that you didn't before, which basically constitute to sacred architecture. Like, I'm really diving into the the bricks and mortar of my business, meaning dealing with accountants, having to set up certain accounts, having to set up a new structure, which is better for me and everything like that. But it's divine masculine. Have I ever wanted to do that? Not really, because it scares the bejesus out of me, because I don't understand it, because I've been too busy being in the stars. But now I'm landing. This is a good sign. And also Marie's been going to DJ school, been doing music production, and that's where all my time has gone. And that's another directive that Spirit has brought in, that I'm going to be doing something completely different. My work here is going to look and sound different. I don't quite know what that looks like yet. Last week before, freaked me out. I was just like, I don't know, because I always know what's going on. This time was like, no, you don't. Just enjoy the moment. Do you like playing music? Yeah. Do you like doing DJ mixes? Yeah. Do you like it all? Yeah. If it's music, love it. And then they were like, what's the problem then? And I was just like, well, nothing, I suppose, But anyway, I digress. So let's go back to where we're going in the month of May. So the month of May is 555, because when you think about it, 5th of the 5th, okay, which is the next portal, 5th of the 5th, 2025, there's 3 5s in there. Now, if you add up the month of May, it's basically a number 10, right? Which is completion. So this is why I think this month of May is going to be deeply significant. There's many out there going, oh, hold on to your hats, because you don't know what's coming on with May. It's fear mongering. It really is. I challenge you. What do you say? What do you think about the month of May? Where are you at? What does your inner being say? Because I don't feel that that's just the gospel of Marie, but what do you say? And that's what this transition is all about. Can you listen to your inner voice? Can you create enough space for that to come through? That's what needs to happen now, because there is no other truth than that of your own, right? That's it. And that's all, which is why I'm being challenged on how to teach now, because I'm sat here going, well, what else is there to teach? Because if we listen to our inner voices and we trust is a big thing, and we trust our divine channel, and we trust ourselves and our superpowers and our gifts, and we trust our life and all that goes with it, then why would you seek the voice of another? Why would you seek anything else other than your own voice? Because once you know, right? So you don't need to go and find out from someone else. Do you know what I mean? So it's a big shift. It's a big change. Now, what can we do to help this along? Let me get to my 4 points now. I'm going to fly through these, okay? So, burn old journals. Get a bonfire up this weekend. Crank up the flames. Call in Sekhmet. Have a wild time. Put some music on. Burn your journals, okay? Feel the energy leaving you, because it's just noise. Hey, this is all going. I'm rebirthing. I've got to get rid of a lot of stuff in my house and on these shelves, right? So I've just said that out loud. So when you see my shelves, they should be a little bit more sparse. Number 2, taking down your altars. Maybe not. Depends how you feel. Altars aren't a bad thing at all. They're the portals to the other side. Some of us have more altars than we need. I have 2. I have one for Sekhmet in Egypt, and I have one for Avalon upstairs. I have dismantled one. And because it was looking like a derelict building, because it served its purpose. So allow your altars to maybe have a little bit of a rest. Close down the altars, clear a space. See how you feel about that. Create some space before you build a new one, because at the end of the day, you are the altar. You are the temple. You are the word of spirit. No one else. This is now where you start to become team you, right? And you start to become empowered. You are not who you are because you have an altar. You are not safe because you have, you're safe because you have an altar. No, rubbish. You're safe anyway. The more you step into the divine feminine, the more you are protected. So I really, really don't care what anybody else says, basically, because as far as I'm concerned, I do very little protection on a daily basis, because it's just there. Anubis is around me all the time. Sekhmet is around me all the time. I'm very much moving into my divine feminine. When you're in the divine feminine, there's very little to protect yourself on, because you are consciousness. If you are plugged into the all mind, if you're plugged into the heart of one, right? Why do you want to protect yourself from that which you're one with? Who are you protecting yourself from? Do you know what I'm saying? Hey, it's nice to go into a space, you're going into a dark temple and you're like, right, okay, I'm going to take my obsidian with me. Yeah, there's that. Absolutely. Discernment. But generally, you cannot live your spiritual human life fearing that you're going to be taken out by anything, because that means that you don't trust your connection to spirit. That means that you believe that you are separate from the consciousness. Something to ponder. Okay. So now, point number 2, transition to transformation, right? Holding pen / space. Do not fill this, be with it. So as you move through this grief space, as I've said, I've sat here wrapping my nails on the desk going, I don't know what I'm going to teach. I feel like I don't know what I'm going to teach, but I'm actually sat here enjoying the wide open space and not being freaked out by it anymore. And I'm getting a lot of guidance now where they're showing me, they're saying, right, you were showing up like that, Marie. You don't need to do that anymore. And I'm like, right, okay. So what are we doing? And as I'm allowing that space to be day in, day out, I'm getting little whispers in my ear going, you might want to look at that. That could be fun. And then I had an amazing conversation today with somebody, my teacher, who makes music, and said, hey, we can do some stuff on your YouTube. And I was like, that'd be cool. So I might start doing more and more kind of like meditations and music, things like that. My point of sharing that with you is because I've gone into the quiet space, I've allowed things to come into my space rather than just filling it. So you will be directed. Trust in spirit. Trust that you have not been left and you're not just sat there floating around, but you will be in the void space after you go through the death walk, right? It's absolutely normal. What's normal? Can you write in the comments? Thank you very much. Okay, so now changing of the guard. I have had this big space. I feel all my guides around me, but nobody's really talking. And I'm just like, my inner being is starting to talk to me quite a lot, actually, which is probably the whole purpose of it all. But my point is there's a changing of the guard. When you go through such a massive transition, you're going to find different beings coming in, Lyrans, Syrians, you know what I mean? Maybe you're going to get plugged into Andromeda more. Maybe all of a sudden you're going to get obsessed with white lions. There's good reason for that. So if you're being noisy, you can't hear your new family coming in as the old ones step back. They need to step back to actually allow people that are, or beings that are more qualified to come in and support you in this earthly realm. So that's also why it's so quiet. So allow that to just come to pass. Everything's fine, right? So listen more, speak less. That's what I'm talking about, coming into the space, you know? And over and above all of this, what do you say? What do you think about all of this? When you sit in meditation and you feel a being come in or something like that, what do you think? Go and journal it. Okay, so we're going to start weaning you off, feeding yourself through tarot readings and things like that. Great to have that as a supportive if you've already got a deep connection with self. But if you're still not trusting yourself and you're just going for astrology reading and this and that and the other and letting others guide you and tell you about you, okay, then that's not correct. That's not what we're doing here. You know what I mean? So now the next one. Point number 3, can you hear the difference between your higher self and your ego? This is leading me into another video, but we'll just touch on this. Okay, so if you are in this quiet space, you are going to be shown distinctly what is your ego talking and what is your higher self talking. Now, prior to this, because we were too busy getting to the end and we want to transform and we want to do this, that, and the other. Prior to this, right, we couldn't hear because it was all much of a muchness. Now it's very distinct. I can hear when my ego is just talking absolute shit, and I can hear when my higher self is saying to you, you can do this. And there is a distinct split between the two. This is the process. So let's sum that up a little bit, right? Transformation last year, inner work done, right? Okay, yay. Now everything out there has to physically change for you to match your frequency here and there, right? So now it's a case of like, you know, okay, I've done that, going through my grief walk, very willing to die, even though I'm not really because it's horrible, but my soul says that's what we're doing. So you're going through that death, right? Then if you've come out the other side, the next stage is absolute space. Do not fill it with anything. Enjoy the space. It's just a new way of being. In that space, you're only listening to you, right? Only. In that space, you journal every day, right? If you feel called. If you don't, who cares? Right. So, but listen to your own inner voice, right? You're going to definitely hear the tantruming voice of your ego and then the guidance of your higher self. And I feel that that is a very intricate, important part of this process for you to then go from this space to move on, right? So now, ego death is my point number 4. And I think I'm going to do a very, very deep video on this because ego death, we speak about this all the time. I'm going through an ego death. And it's just like rolls off the tongue, like, you know, enlightenment and embodiment. What's really going on here? It's embodiment. You are now feeling this freedom because that's what May's all about, by the way, okay? Reading off my other pad here now, which I wrote down. I did a mad scribble earlier. And, you know, number 5, and if it's amplified, 555, which is kind of the month of May, it's transformation, freedom, and an acceleration in change. Okay, so I've written here, 5-5, double power of transformation, and it's all connected to the solar plexus. So this is basically what number 5 is actually bringing you for. You're actually leaving this space of being run by your ego. Do you know that you have been listening to this voice for lifetimes? Not this lifetime. You're not safe enough. You shouldn't do that. Oh, you're not worthy of that. And now all of a sudden, we've gone through this huge transition, which is the ultimate transition to the other side. And now what's happening is you're having more trust in yourself, if you listen to your inner voice, and you're now having more trust in the higher being, ancient one, higher self, talking, and then you're able to distinctly see, oh, that's my ego. So when it comes through and it tells you something that's not true, you literally smack its hands and put it back in its high chair. So what's actually happening now as to why it's becoming very chaotic and very intense is because we're at that critical mass point of where the ego death is really rife now, because you've moved through the grief now here. And I can describe it as, it's a toddler. It's sitting in the chair. And it grabs my cell phone. I'm like, put it down. Stay in your high chair. I carry on talking to somebody. Then it grabs the pen. Then it pulls the cup off the table. I'm like, stop it. Wants to climb on the table. No. No is a full sentence. No. And that's what's happening with my ego. And what's happening is my ego, which is a toddler, is having an absolute shit fit, right? And I'm just going, don't care. I'm not listening to it anymore. So what's happening? Me and my ego broken up, because until you're going to sit there nicely and suck out your sucker cup and have a juice and just be chill, okay, while we all hang out and you work with us here, I'm not listening to you. And that's what's happening. So that's kind of what you'll be experiencing. And that is the separation. And then what will happen is the ego will then go, oh, we're not doing this anymore. And then it will come in a line with your higher being. But what's going to happen is the ego is not here, higher being second. They swap. So now it's your higher self that basically leads the way, and the mind, which is there to implement systems and structures to assist what the higher being wants and knows, then it all works. So people, that was a mad Professor Merlin kind of explanation on what's kind of going on here, right? So this is what I'm saying. I believe the month of May is going to be a map and compass. All the M's, map and compass, apart from the C. May. It's all May mayhem, May magic. It all depends on what you're choosing, really. But I hope that this kind of like describes what's going on, because it's all a bit chaotic. But at the same time, it's extremely peaceful at the same time. So this is the energy update, just skimming off the top because there's a lot. I'm going to do other videos to do with ego deaths and things like that. And we're going to be talking about embodiment and what this actually means and what it is that you're actually going through and why. And this is what rebirthing actually feels like, right? So the 5th of the 5th is the next portal in my eyes, right? And that's going to be a very powerful day. So that's actually on Monday, right? And there is going to be big magic there, because it's going to be an absolute springboard for you to actually coast to the next level. The new moon just did that for us, kind of like shot us out there. And now the 5-5 portal is going to gift us with more magic like that, you know. But it's like anything. If you are still searching for the shadow and still think there's something to fix, well, the universe is going to give you more to fix. If you are exercising your power of discernment and you are ready to go to the next level, bearing in mind that the 5th dimension, 5th is the 5th month being May, 5-5 portal. It's all about the solar plexus. It's all about your seat of power. It's all about Sekhmet as well. Sekhmet's chakra is the solar plexus. So this could be the springboard that you want. So like I said, I'm going to share with you Gospel of Marie as I go. And that's it. And that's all, really. So yeah, nice to be back. It's been a terrible time, though. Goodness me. And you can hear these helicopters. I don't know whether you can hear over the microphone, but we have had the worst fires ever. Sadly, arson, but there were fires nonetheless, and, you know, much destruction, actually. And it's really, really it's really brought a lot of energy in, because we literally have ended our summer and we've gone straight into winter. So we're on that liminal space, and we're at that Hecate space. Transformation. Fire is transformation, even though it can cause a lot of grief and pain, right? Get where I'm going with that. So I'm going to leave that there. It's a great place to end off. Loving you all, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.